Hello and welcome to the Bullying Redirect YouTube channel. I'm your host, Frank DiLallo. Changing the culture of bullying has been a passion and a major focus of my inner work and professional career for over 2 decades. Why, might you ask, am I so passionate about wanting to make a difference in this area? Well, the truth is, I have an early history of victimization, consider myself to be a recovering victim bully, and a bystander as well. With extensive history of trauma, I bring a unique perspective from all three vantage points on the bullying triangle. My pursuit on this journey is for personal and spiritual transformation, healing, and a deep dive into growth-oriented learning, and a strong desire to share what I learn with you. The other unique perspective I offer is as a beleaguered parent of 4 children. One of the more recent challenges our family is witnessing the ravages cyberbullying has had on our 15-year-old high school sophomore daughter. I will talk more about this as cyberbullying will be the topic of focus for my upcoming podcast. Please do not miss the Bullying Redirect podcast airing on April 20. There are 2 defining moments for me that are catalysts for what I do now. The first was the Howard Gray song for the first time over 30 years ago, which shockingly reminded me of my personal story. If you haven't heard this timeless song, it's about a middle school boy who joins classmates in mistreating Howard. Feeling tremendous remorse some 20 plus years later, singer-songwriter Lee Doman elucidates the middle school experience and asks Howard for forgiveness. The song was eventually heard by Howard and is a beautiful redemption story. The link to the Howard Gray song is provided for you in the resource list below. The second defining moment for me was on Tuesday, April 20, 1999, when news broke out about the shooting at Columbine High School in Littleton, Colorado. With deep empathy, I tried to imagine what it would be like to, if such carnage happened at the high school that I worked as a counselor at just prior to the Columbine Massacre. The news in my imagination took me to a very dark place. I felt devastated and very depressed for some time. Since Columbine, there have been some 230 school shootings and counting, and 304 deaths as a direct result. As I share this with you, there's very recent news of another shooting at Austin East Magnet High School in Knoxville, Tennessee. The most recent update on this shooting indicates an officer was shot and wounded, and the alleged shooter, a student, was killed by police after he refused to obey their commands. Our family recently moved to beautiful Boulder, Colorado, and the community, which I now call home, experienced a huge shock. Last month, on March 22nd, a mass shooting took place at a local grocery store where I shop just 5 minutes from where we live, killing 12 people. What brought this even closer to home is that my wife works at a credit union in the same complex. The shooter started firing in the King Soopers parking lot around 2:30 in the afternoon, and a bullet shattered the window directly above my wife's office. Michelle texted me and called me the rest of the day from lockdown. I felt so helpless, but I knew that's where she was going to be safest. And after the police had apprehended the shooter, Michelle was able to come home, and we held each other and cried most of the evening. Although not a school shooting, this brought up horrible memories for me, a lot of sadness of the news of Columbine and the many other school shootings and shootings, period. This has to stop. Enough is enough. Let's pause here for a moment. Let's take a moment of silence to honor all the victims of shootings, their families, all the school staff, co-workers, friends, and communities impacted by these senseless acts of violence. Thank you. Like most everyone else, I want to try and understand what motivates someone to commit such a heinous act. Whatever the motivation, such acts are never, ever justified. Caught up in the emotion of the Columbine shooting, I immediately jumped to the conclusion from commentary that the two shooters were bullied by classmates and that they acted out of vengeance. Sometime later, more accurate reporting indicated that the two male students were extremely popular and not targeted by bullying at all. There are conflicting reports and studies about shooters being bullied as the key motivating factor behind their actions. Two sources that I'd like to share with you. One is a study from the Secret Service that indicates 71% of school shooters felt persecuted, bullied, threatened, attacked, or injured leading up to their rampage. In that same study, the Secret Service state bullied high schoolers are also more than twice as likely to bring guns or knives to school as their non-bullied peers. In another study that does contradict this one, West Ed Justice and Prevention Research Center, in an article titled "5 Misconceptions About School Shootings," states one of the misconceptions is that school shooters are bullied loners who reach a breaking point and attack a school in revenge. The study goes on to state, although research does indicate bullying in the background of many school shooters, some commentators, unfortunately, have focused on bullying as a primary cause of school shootings. Many people believe the stereotype that the shooters are outcasts who are bullied into retaliation against their tormentors. But this characterization of shooters is rarely accurate. There's currently reason to believe an intense study on the complex issues surrounding mental health and the role it plays in shootings. If not officially clinically diagnosed, any violent act committed is at the very least carried out by persons who are mentally unhealthy. We continue to have a lot of work to do on figuring out how to provide a safe and thriving learning environment for our youth and overall for a safe world. For my part, with the primary focus on the topic of bullying, I want to share with you 8 promises the Bullying Redirect YouTube channel will deliver to you, the subscriber. Number 1. Bullying Redirect promises to be a beacon of hope for school administrators, teachers, support staff, parents, students, and all youth-serving organizations. Number 2, Bullying Redirect promises to dispel related myths, inaccuracies, ambiguity, and confusion with definitional and language barriers surrounding bullying. Number 3, Bullying Redirect promises to move beyond current conventional bullying prevention definitions and language. Number 4, Bullying Redirect promises to provide unique, out-of-the-box insights and innovative growth mindset, resiliency-oriented approaches to address this complex problem in a meaningful and compassionate way. Number 5, Bullying Redirect promises to share current, accurate, truthful, practical, and immediately usable content. Some content will be evidence-based and other content will be anecdotal. Number 6, Bullying Redirect promises to provide and promote content that includes pro-social skills and social emotional learning whenever possible. Number 7, Bullying Redirect promises to host the Bullying Redirect podcast featuring expert, faith-based, and secular thought leaders, as well as parents, youth, and others who share a unique perspective from their personal experiences. And lastly, number 8, Bullying Redirect promises to provide and promote the implementation and effective practical strategies to reduce bullying and the harm that bullying can cause. I am incredibly grateful that you could join me today. Please take time right now to subscribe to the Bullying Redirect YouTube channel. Feel free to type in any questions you might have in the comments section below. If you are an educator, parent, expert in your field, and you want to join me on the Bullying Redirect podcast, please feel free to email me at frank@bullyingredirect.org. Please plan to join me on April 20 for the Bullying Redirect podcast, which with my featured guest, I'm so excited about this, my featured guest, cyberbullying expert, Dr. Samir Hinduja of the Cyberbullying Research Center. Peace and all good things to you and your family.